Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we would continue with the suggestions passed to developers for the ground stuff. There's a bunch of interesting vehicles to have a look, some for Italy, France, and also other nations getting involved as well. So as always, if you enjoy this content, make sure to subscribe, and let's get started. The first one is a vehicle that's actually coming to the game in the next major update, the Carro Armato C1 Ariete Certezza. The Certezza is a specific version of the Ariete, which was seen on the 20th course Certezza, where it was in action, which I think is some kind of training action. I can't really see anything else from it. Certezza in English actually means certainty, which is kind of interesting. And the differences between it and the standard Ariete is that it had some barbed wire attached to the lower front plate, and then also it had a tiger-like exhaust on the back, meaning that they made the exhausts go upwards. The post does say the running theory that it has this exhaust like it is that this Ariete was modified to take part in the tank biathlon in 2014, as the standard exhaust produced a lot of black smoke, and this would obviously be significantly visible, and it might block view or it might not look good. So generally, that's the idea. Everything about it, it's just a standard Ariete, so there's nothing really a bit weird about it. It's just one which was used in a specific course to, I'm guessing, enhance the training abilities of the Italians. The next one is for France, and it's the AMX-30 C2. This was an alternative development the Leclerc offered for France and also for other countries using the AMX-30. The vehicle was developed in 1990 and offered a rather significant upgrade to the existing AMX-30B2 without being too much. The improvement itself features notably a gyro stabilizer for the gun, which gives the tank a much better offensive capability. Also a new fire control, reinforced suspension, and also a new ZF LSG 3000 automatic transmission, a new engine, and the tank also got a new thermal sight. So altogether, quite a large improvement on the vehicle. The test itself was successful and the tank was ready for production. However, the upcoming introduction of the Leclerc was almost ready for production, making the AMX-30 C2 an upgrade that came too late. The AMX-30 was about to be retired from the French army, and so the upgrade was an expense that was just not needed. The demonstrator is actually currently in the Saumur Tank Museum if you want to actually see it. But the main improvement of this, of course, was the stabilizer to stabilize the main gun, which was the same as the previous ones, the 105mm CN105 F1, which is the same one on the AMX-30B2. And obviously it can fire all of the same rounds and move around, which would be fine. The engine itself that it got was the HS110-2 Mark E9, which gave it 850 horsepower to replace the previous engines. The tank getting the automatic transmission as well gave it a lot of mobility, giving it 8 forward and 4 reverse gears, which gave it a better top speed and also a lower reverse speed. But the reverse speed is still pretty decent for the vehicle itself. Obviously the armor doesn't change or anything like that. The main thing about this upgrade is the stabilizer for the main gun, which all of the other AMX-30s in the game lack, apart from the premium one. The next vehicle is a Swedish one, and as always, I can never get these names right. This one is the Pansarvärnsrobotterrängbil 9032. So it's another just very long name one. Basically what this is an ATGM tank destroyer version developed from a basic pickup version of the Pansarvärnsrobotterrängbil 903 and the Valpen, which was supposed to be used in the Swedish army and use the Robot 52, which is of course the SS-11 M-close missile. And remember, Sweden likes to rename stuff to their standard, which is always interesting. So basically, this was developed between 1960 and 63 and registered in service from 1966 to 82. Although similar to the basic pickup version, the rear end was modified with 2 firing ramps for the launch of the missiles, 1 forward and 1 rearward, for a total of 4 SS-11 missiles on it to be available. The vehicle basically just looks like a standard truck where they've just added missiles to it, but generally I think it looks quite nice, and overall, since it was used for a long time, why not at the end of the day? There's also not many ATGM launchers that I can think of which have ATGMs which are mounted to fire forwards and also fire backwards in 2 separate mounts, so it's overall pretty interesting. For Israel, we have the M113A2 OWS-25, and this vehicle actually looks really cool. Unfortunately, the history behind this vehicle isn't really known, only that it was an M113 with an upgrade in the form of a new turret, which was the Overhead Weapons System 25. This tank was used by the IDF Army to control the border of their territory, spotted in 2004, and it's unclear how many were actually used and also for how long. But outside of the obvious lack of info, of course, there is quite a lot going for it, since it's based off an M113. Back in 1999, Israel's corporation Rafael sold an upgrade package for Singapore. This upgrade was for the M113 Ultra IFV, which is a simple M113 with an OWS-25 turret, similar to the one used by Israel. It's likely that about this time, this M113 was also tested with the IDF, but not made standard. So despite not being standard, it seems it was used in service anyway. The OWS is a turret offered by Rafael, had significant success internationally. Capable of fitting many different armaments, it was mounted on half a dozen APCs and IFVs from Singapore, Turkey, Israel, and Romania. The turret is powered to make it have a pretty quick rotation, have good elevation, and also add 1,000 kilos to the chassis. The M113, of course, was an American APC and a type of battle taxi. Israel first captured Jordanian M113s in 1967, but started to import their own M113s from the US in 1970. The M113 was replacing the M3 half-track in the Israeli army, and Israel became the second largest user of M113s after the US, with 6,000 vehicles having been put into service. The M113 participated in every Israeli conflict since its introduction, but with a lot of losses when it was fighting. The M113 turned out to be poorly armored and very vulnerable to mines and also RPGs. Regardless, Israel kept the M113 and adapted their use to a safer role, or improved the armor on the vehicle with an ERA package. Up to this day, Israel is still using these actively, but in very much secondary services. And of course, they are introducing new APCs like the Neymar, the Akzarit, and also soon to be introduced Aitan. And most of the Israeli M113s are the M113A2s, but Rafael and IMI are proposing an M113A3, which has a standard along with ERA armor. This upgrade does not seem to be installed on the M113 OWS-25. The main armament is a 25mm Bushmaster M242 autocannon. This autocannon is the same one on the M3 Bradley. This mount doesn't have access to an ATGM or anything like that, but it does have a machine gun on the side of it, a coaxial 7.62mm machine gun, which is pretty nice. There also seems to be an optical port on the actual kind of turret itself, so it'll be a little bit easier to use. The vehicle itself didn't have an improved power plant, and so it's just a bit heavier, therefore a little bit kind of slower. And then also at the same time, the armor is probably not improved over the standard M113, which they were using at the time either. But the main thing is, of course, the autocannon. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.